everyone who makes art, and many, many people do, and they don't put it out. And it doesn't make it less or more art, or good or bad. But when you decide to show it outside of your own environment, that's the nervous part. Like, will it be accepted, because you are actually putting it on the world stage. Jonathan Qualben, and essentially I'm from here. I've been here longer than I've been anywhere else. Grew up in New York, spent some time in the Midwest, moved here a long time ago. I think the time that moved me from one profession to another was after I quit a job that I'd had for quite a while as an architect, and had some time to do some work on the house, and I was making walkways, concrete walkways, and had a wheelbarrow full of cement, and ran my trowel through it, and it made these beautiful patterns. And that was interesting. I have a degree in ceramics, and my ceramic work was very free form. And then I saw cement actually had a lot of the same properties. So I think the interesting thing to me was that many people have probably done something similar, but they were in the middle of making a walkway. So they didn't stop and actually draw out that experience. They don't normally have the freedom. And so this happened right at a time when I did have space and time to play. So I sort of stopped the walkway and started playing with the concrete. A year later, I had my first show. Got a Montana award that sort of vindicated or sure how to say it, justified that the art was actually worthy of being outside of my own experience. So I like figurative art, and the sculpture immediately had moved into figurative work. It was abstracted, but I needed resources, like how does the body move? And I had collected, I'd gone to all the secondhand stores and gotten all the Playboy and Hustler magazines I could find, and they're really not very good. They're also airbrushed, that you can't, really find musculature and movement and such like that. So I had a camera and I had some space, and I had some friends who came in and modeled. And I said, can you just jump or move, stretch? I got some material, start throwing this material around because I liked the drapery and I liked the movement. So I started photographing and started getting better equipment when the equipment that I made was inadequate. And then it started getting some really beautiful pictures, and I really liked the experience of interacting with another person. And sculpture is a solitary, work alone. This was actually working with someone else, and I really liked it. So I started doing both. I was a sculpture. I do photographs, translate that into a sculpture, get an idea for a sculpture, get a photograph that would work towards that. And then somewhere along the line, it was just the photograph itself was reward, was good. So probably 4 or 5 years ago, I stopped doing sculpture. I still think of myself as a sculptor, but I haven't really, and I've just been doing photography full time. I don't do photographs for sculpture anymore. I do the photographs for the sake of the photograph, or for drawing out of a person a particular emotion or movement. It took on a life of its own. Well, I create imagery. Actually, I'm not sure I create imagery. I create the environment for imagery. The imagery is there. It's always there. It's all around us. The artist's part, I think, is selecting which of these things that we see all the time to isolate and say this is particularly beautiful or intriguing or interesting. Focus on that. Capture this moment, sort of transient moments that we see but we don't have time because they're very fast to isolate and then be able to scrutinize, to really examine. Working with Erin was awesome. She's also a photographer, and her husband were here, and so we all work together, and the whole photographic process is very collaborative. So I create an environment, and then the model brings her or himself to the scene. Everyone's different, so her interaction was very much about the baby, and she hadn't done any maternity photos, and she liked the style that I was using, so she was all about, well, this will be really fun, and it was. We had a great time. Jake, her husband, was moving water around and making the material move and just generally assisting. It was a good time. So how is this emerging? Well, there's two parts to it. One is she's pregnant. She's actually 8 months pregnant. So there is an unborn baby coming. That's not emerging yet, but it's imminent. She also, her personality emerges. Her quiet, her softness, her movement, and her beauty are things that a photographer looks to capture, bring forth. And then she's underwater and distorted, surrounded by colors, and it's not quite a portrait because she's somewhat obscured. But when you look at it for a little while, then all the details kind of come out and say, oh, that's a woman, that's Erin. So the imagery itself is an emergent piece. Well, I think the opportunity to show my photography at a large scale, and I had shot with the idea of exhibiting at a large scale, right, at least 4 or 5 foot large, and then the idea that I could display at 8 foot was really exciting. And I think it's just a great project all in all. It's public art, outdoors, accessible, and I think just more people would just wander through and see rather than going in a door or making a particular point to go somewhere. So it's art that you can stumble on. Well, there's two ways to be an artist. There's probably more than just two ways. Everyone should make art of some sort. And the advice is just do it. That's the short piece. The longer piece is don't judge yourself by comparing yourself to what others are doing. The purest art is what's just going to come within and what's within your capabilities. The things that excite you are things that you will naturally develop. And if you judge what you're doing and say right away, oh, that's not good enough, or that's not what I meant to do, you shut yourself off right away. So look for the things that you like in what you do, and do what you like, and don't worry about sort of the end game of showing it. It probably won't be very good right away. It'll get better as you get more in touch with who you are and what you're doing.